Good morning, everybody. I'm just going to give everybody a second to get in and we'll get started in just a moment. Steady stream of people coming in. Which is fantastic. Joe.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Let's see. You cannot start your video because the host has stopped it. So
I don't have video going, but I can certainly turn it on if you'd like.
oh, okay, because you got the screen.
Yep.
Okay, great.
All right, we're ready when you are.
Okay, sounds great. So why don't you go ahead and put me on video here. Okay, all right. So welcome everybody. So excited about doing this little webinar for you all. As I sent out a reminder just about 45 minutes ago, and I said it may be the most important webinar that you've attended. And that's because cyber is a big deal. And what we have done is put together a partnership with Wingman. And I think you'll really be impressed by what they have. But before we get started, I kind of want to tell you, because I know a lot of you don't know who Comtech Leavitt is and who Joe Weipert is and my partner, April Yearby. But we are a specialized agency and been involved on the communications technology side for 24 years. Both April and I have been working together that long. And this is all we do, communications and technology risks. For the last 19 years on the agency side, that's all we have done. So part of that is just really becoming an expert in that area. And we travel all over the country. Our agency is virtual. April lives in Denver. I'm in St. George. We have people in Nebraska. So we spread out all over the country. I have clients up as far as up in New York. So what I really wanted to tell you is, so what about Comtech Leavitt? Well, we have deep relationships within the communications and technology world. And we're well known, both April and I, within this niche. We work heavily with associations, sponsoring their meetings, attending their meetings, staying on top of what's going on in the industry, looking from our own angle, what can we do to make our niche better? And so part of this cyber program is, that's what we've done for you all. We've put together a great program. So one of my backgrounds, I was in claims before I started on the agency side. Was AVP of claims for an insurance company. I also was an independent risk manager, worked for a consulting firm there. So I have always been a deep diver in the policy language, what triggers coverage, what kind of waiting periods might be affected. So I have really been, in April, I should say April is too, well, really technicians. We're kind of a risk management approach to what we do. And we have a variety of products available within the sector of technology, so to speak. But we have been working with cyber for 19 years. I started working, I think, originally with Hartford on their communications enhancement. On their professional liability and get involved from that angle. So I work with a number of the carriers out there looking for the best products, the best pricing, the best service. Um, so our relationship, the genesis of our relationship with Wingman is one of the things that we do is because we're in a narrow niche, we specifically look for those best products. We develop relationships all the way to the top of organizations, and we really look for what's best out there on the market and how can we relate. And that's where we found Wingman. I've worked with all sorts of carriers on their cyber products. I interviewed a number of MGAs out there and looked at what they had and the services they had. And I love Wingman. And Ellie is one of the most amazing people you'll meet in this whole process. So we basically have done due diligence for you all to make sure that you have the best product, best pricing out there. And the great thing is it's admitted paper and it's Access. I'm sure everybody knows Access, but we have a number of things in this program that you just can't get with the direct going through a broker on this. So I thought, wow, we have this great relationship, but really every affiliate, every agent needs to know what we do. And I've worked with our affiliate partner and higher up to kind of just say, hey, we have this program for you all. We can support it. You can feel comfortable that you have the best program out there, and we've compared them. So, one of the difficult parts of this is there's so many cyber policies out there, and no two are the same. So how do you know what you really have and how it compares to other programs from coverage standpoint and pricing? We've done that for you. I think we have a great program. So we have the expertise for you. In our office, myself and April, Ellie, and Maddie, I believe Maddie's might be on the call as well.
Yeah, I'll introduce her in a minute.
Okay. So one of the things when I talk to Wingman is, look, I'm all about streamlining the process, making it efficient and as easy to work with as possible. And that's where Wingman is so great at. They're so responsive to everything we have done and just support us 100%. It's a quick and easy quoting process, which we'll demonstrate today. And you have all the support. You can even go on their chat, get your questions answered. Somebody's always there. We really, the whole idea of bringing it out to other affiliates is, look, it's going to be branded as Leavitt Group. You can see on the slide, it's Leavitt Group. It's for you guys as well as us. We're okay with that. We want to share because you've seen probably some of the articles about agencies and their problems with cyber and screwing up basically. So we're going to help you protect your E&O, your investment in your agency, and really give you peace of mind. So, Yeah, these slides will be available to you, promise. So let me introduce Wingman. Let's get going. I want to introduce Ellie first. I think I already told you. She is amazing. She's the managing director for Wingman. She has been with us since day one, putting this together. I can't say enough about her. And one thing that aligned is we both had the idea of, look, we want to make it simple, best product, best pricing. We have the support after the claims, and we can help you with that. We also supply you with tools to go out and sell. And this will be a regular process. We'll touch on certain topics, do other webinars on like ransomware and things like that to help you be better at this, because it's so important. And you need to make sure it's available to your clients. So Ellie, with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you and let you tell a little bit about Wingman.
Well, thanks, Joe. It's we're really happy to be here. Thank you for the absolutely delightful introduction. I don't remember the last time someone said such nice things about me, but I'll take it. I also want to introduce my counterpart, Maddie Narr. She is who's behind that live chat most of the time, and your best chance at getting your questions answered quickly if you are on the East Coast, because she is on the East Coast. And she's doing a tremendous job helping us grow our cyber plans with new relationships like our one with Leavitt. So I want to talk about a few things today. If at any point in time during any of this you have a question, please feel free to drop it into the chat or the Q&A, and we'll do everything we can to get them. Of course, the recording and the slides will be available to all of you after the presentation is done. But we're looking forward to working with a lot of you. So I hope you can get some valuable information. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the trends in cyber claims and why the market, which went from being the wild, wild west to absolutely being deep space. No one has any idea what's going on. It's a total disaster. But we're here to help you navigate it. We're here to make your jobs easier. And we are here to do that because Wingman as a company was founded on the concept that over the last 10, 15, 20 years, the idea of technology in the insurance space has really meant shifting the burden of work from the insurance carrier to the insurance agent. And that's absurd because they're not paying you anymore to now do all of this data entry, do all of this basically frontline underwriting, et cetera, et cetera. It's just a part of your jobs now. And we think that that's ridiculous. And so when we were building our software, we spent a lot of time with agents sitting down and asking them, what are the pain points in your process? You know, what can we see that can we do to make your job easier, both for you, your CSRs, and all the way through the chain from accounting on down. And I think we've come up with something, and we've grown something here over the last 5 years that most agents agree is really completely different from anything else in the marketplace. One question I'm sure we're going to get a lot of is, how does this product compare to the litany of other cyber insurance products on the marketplace? It does. We'll get to all of that later, but I think a lot of times it helps if you just chime in with who you're writing with now, and I can get more specific as we go along. All right.
Yeah. Ellie, I'm answering the questions as they come in.
Okay.
So feel free to go ahead and shoot them out, and I'll try to monitor them for us.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Claims trends. So 2020 was a disaster of a year in just about every way, shape, or form, but very few things blew up as quickly as cyber claims. We saw ransomware payments go, almost double in size. We've seen premiums and as a retaliation to this trend, almost double. We're seeing incredibly high profile losses every single week. You know, it's not just Colonial Pipeline. You know, the Microsoft Exchange server thing happened almost a year ago. We're still dealing with the aftermath of that today. And loss ratios are, for many carriers, well over 30%. And so all of this combined means we're seeing more claims, they're more severe, and carriers are finally getting wise. So when once you might have been able to get a quote without anything more than a business name and revenue number, that's really just not what's happening anymore. And so it becomes more important for you to find a carrier that you trust, that can provide great coverage that is right for your client and at a reasonable price. Why are these costs going up so much? We love to use the idea of the iceberg because that's exactly what's happening with a ransomware claim. What we hear is Colonial Pipeline paid 4 point whatever million dollars to a ransomer, but that is barely touching the tip of the surface on what the actual costs are to mitigate this claim. There are legal costs, there are accounting costs, there are data forensics costs, and the list goes on and on and on. And at the bottom are the business interruption, or third party or first party business interruption. That could be the whole ocean. And so when you're looking at these things, you think, okay, it was a $200,000 ransom demand, yes, but it was an $800,000 claim. So it really has gotten out of control as far as the cost, and really paying the ransom itself isn't the number one. All right, what are we seeing? Data breaches by the numbers. Again, cyber attacks are incredibly expensive. The businesses are responsible for so much. There is not an industry at this point that hasn't been dramatically impacted by cyber breaches. There is no industry that is immune, absolutely none. And we're seeing, when we first started doing this, we were saying like 4 to 5 out of every 10 businesses will have a cyber attack in the next 12 months. No, it's 7.5 out of every 10 businesses at this point who will have some sort of cyber incident over the next 12 months. And it's, are you ready? Are your clients ready? Are they adequately insured? Can you get them adequately insured? How can I need help. And we're here to help. All right, I love using case studies, and I love using case studies to explain both the need for cyber and the importance of your job as agents, because nothing sells cyber better than a terrifying story. So we're going to look at 3 different industries and talk about some examples that happen in those industries. Now, you can read what's on the screen. I'm all for that. I'm just going to tell you some other examples of things that I've seen in the construction industry. We've seen payroll get stolen. We've seen, my favorite story is, and this is a real claim that actually happened. Major construction company based on the East Coast. They had a disgruntled employee in the finance department who got fired. And on his way out the door, he picked up a box and walked out the door. Now, nobody realized at that moment, but that box was actually the hard disk backups of every single employee, past and current, and all of their information, health insurance, Social Security, direct deposit, et cetera. It was like 25,000 people's information. They didn't have insurance, because construction, of course, is like, we don't need cyber insurance. We write everything on paper. It cost them $2 million to mitigate this claim, and no one broke in to any computers. And it was a cyber claim. Not one computer was broken into. The guy just picked up the backup disks and walked out the door. And it cost them almost $2 million. And that's just one example in the construction industry where you see something that you would think, this isn't really someone I would sell cyber to crap. Like, every industry has these major issues. The least of which being, think about how many vendors a construction company pays in a month, and how easy would it be for someone in the accounting department to be, tricked into paying someone who wasn't really a vendor, or paying the wrong account, et cetera, et cetera. All right. Healthcare, we all know it's crazy, but there's so many facets to healthcare and the need for cyber insurance that it's such a great place to focus energy and thought. Nursing homes and home health centers are the new ground zero because they have all of the same records and all of the same important information as a major hospital system, and absolutely none of the resources and none of the cybersecurity. So you're looking at a family-owned facility that gets hit with a ransomware attack. It costs them tons and tons of money to mitigate it, because they had current and past residents, all of their personal information that was out there that had to be notified. They had to figure out how it happened. They had to rectify it. The costs were innumerable. And so when you're thinking about healthcare, yeah, you want to get your local pediatrician's office and make sure that they have a cyber policy, but you also need to think about, the elder care centers and all of these places that are really getting hit frequently these days. All right, here's my other favorite one. Trucking and shipping has become such a big one. Now, when I first started selling cyber and I would give lectures on the importance of cyber, I always told the same story. And that's about the shipping company Maersk. And Maersk was one of the very first high profile victims of a ransomware attack. It was like 2016 or 17. And some guy in Germany turns on his computer first thing in the morning, and it's just a black screen. And it tells them that they owe ransom, and he thinks it's a joke. And then he looks up from his cubicle, and everybody else in the place has the same screen. And they realize it's not just their office, it's every single global office of the business, because they were all networked together. The total claim cost something like $300 million. It was, the port of Los Angeles was closed for 4 days. It was a nightmare. It just happened again, different company, exact same thing. And the supply chain was affected. And it's unbelievable how trucking and shipping are the new hot thing. And they are looking at the most unique ways of hacking into them. How about the devices that track the trucks inside of the trucks themselves? That's a really big one. And a lot of cyber policies don't cover it. And so, we went to bat with Access and went, you can't cover trucking and not cover the devices. And they were like, that's true. And so we do cover them. But I mean, it's fascinating the creative ways that these companies are getting to take over and shut down a business, and business interruption becomes the really big kicker, the really big claim driver in those instances. What does it look like? We talk about ransomware a lot. And first of all, this is an example of a ransomware situation that happened to that shipping company. They sign it. They sign the ransom. It's like telling you who it is. It's a group, obviously, but still, they're not keeping it a secret. They're not pretending that they're not breaking the law. It is blatant. It is atrocious. And I mean, look, spelling and grammatical errors aside, this is happening every single day across the globe, but more so in the United States than anywhere else. And so know what it is, know how to talk to your customers about it. And that's really one of those things that we're here to help. The relationship that we have with Joe and the Comtech Leavitt, and really the Leavitt family group, is to be your in-house cyber experts. We can work with Joe, we can work with you guys to make sure that everyone in your office feels comfortable and confident talking about cyber, selling a cyber policy, knows where to go and who to ask the questions to make sure that your insured is adequately covered. Why are we telling you to work with Wingman? Well, there's a lot of reasons. Now, our policy is, yes, admitted, which is really important because paperwork is nonsense. And there's enough admitted carriers in the marketplace offering exceptional coverage that to do non-admitted feels like a lot of extra work for you for less commission. So high recommend on the admitted front. It's going to cover everything you need. We've got the liability coverages, all the first party coverages, ransomware, extortion, notification expenses, legal, data forensics. We have first and third party business interruption, crypto jacking, social engineering, invoice manipulation, and on and on and on the list goes. Reputational harm. We're adding some additional coverages next week, which include the cost to determine if what your reputational harm or business interruption loss total, all of these kinds of things. We're constantly iterating on our form, but we do take a one size fits most approach to our policy form. So it's not a modular policy like you get from a Chubb or a Travelers, where every time you get a quote in, you have to double check and make sure that it's the same coverages that you remember from the last one. This is always going to be the exact same coverages, unless we do a big update and we add some additional coverages. It's always going to be at a bare minimum, all of our coverages that we can offer at that particular moment. It's also grid rated, so it makes it really easy for any account under $50 million to get an instantaneous quote. Accounts over $50 million, we've done our best to make the application process as quick, easy, and painless as possible. We have a copy of that application. The system also has a copy of it. So if you accidentally put in an account that we need more info on, you're going to get it right from the system or from Joe or Maddie or myself. So that's that. But really the biggest thing is the workflow. We want to make sure your job is easy as it can be. So, and I'm going to show you guys in a second, there's going to be a button on the Comtech Leavitt Cyber Center website. I will show you and give you all the URL that you can click on to get a cyber quote. All you have to do is fill out our very short application, which I will show you, and it generates a quote letter that looks like this with your client information, the agency information, and a big giant and only branding on the document says Leavitt Group. We also direct bill, which is, we think, incredibly important to stop wasting everybody's time in your offices tracking down $800 policies. That bill, that invoice, the email that comes from our system directly to the insured to handle it, all Leavitt branded. And that's really important because, again, our job is not done unless nobody knows that we exist except you. So we hope that we're able to do that. We also generate a lot of marketing materials that we pass out anytime anybody wants any. And all of them come in a Microsoft Word format that you can then add your branding to. I know Joe's done a ton of it on your behalf already, so you can reach out to him on any of that stuff. All right, I want to show you how easy it is, but I just want to make sure everybody has a chance to jot down Joe's contact information in case you need it, because he's really going to be the point person. But you can always reach out to us individually. You're a part of the Leavitt family, then you're a part of the Comtech Leavitt family with us, and we're happy to help you in any way that we can. All right, let me show you how easy it is to do this quoting. So here we are on the Comtech Leavitt website, and here is their beautiful cyber center. You'll see you've got two options. You can get a tech E&O quote or a cyber quote. If you request a cyber quote, it's going to redirect you to the Comtech Leavitt portal in our actual software. Now you'll notice again, it is branded the Leavitt Group, but it's got your welcome to Wingman information on it. It's going to let you fill out the application yourself and just make this really quickly. If for whatever reason anybody wanted to have a customer fill this out themselves, that is absolutely fine as well. So we're going to call it Joe's Comtech insurance policy. And address. This is Google Maps. So all you do is start typing and it's going to come up with an address near you. Or you keep typing and it'll find where you are. You don't need to include unit numbers, apartment numbers, suite numbers. This is all totally paperless. Let's do revenues. And now we're going to ask some information from you personally. We do this so that Joe can manage the follow-up with you individually without having to pay anybody else. So you're going to enter in, and your phone number, and you can say, I am Leavitt LA, or whatever Leavitt office you might actually be in. All right. Now you'll see as our progress bar continues, we're just asking, what we're in 2 of 4. It's super easy. What do they do? You'll see we can cover really any industry when it comes to cyber insurance. We have 2 limitations. We cannot do credit card processing companies. That seems fairly self-explanatory. Those feel like Lloyd's accounts to me. And we cannot do cannabis business because, it's complicated. But we have some relationships that if you are struggling, we can try to help you find placement elsewhere. If you don't know how to classify something, you've got 2 options. Down here is that live chat that Joe and I keep chatting about. Or you can use what we have, internally we call it the business classification wizard, where you can just type in what they do. Of course, it's deciding to be slow today because I am in a random account. Fine, I will do it the old-fashioned way. Click on healthcare or lawyers or whatever, and it classifies you. Okay. How many records do you have? Now, obviously, this is not a question that most people know or understand, but we already know their revenue and we know what they do. You got a pretty good idea of what this number is going to be. You can always double check it with the customer later. It is not rate bearing. It is underwriting. It is for underwriting purposes. So like, for example, if you said that they were, I don't know, a construction firm, but they have 2 million records, we're going to go, what? That kind of thing. We also allow bands of answers for all of this stuff. So, you really don't need to know exact numbers, and you just leave them blank if they're not applicable. And then we need to know if you've had any claims. I just want to give everybody a heads up about a trend that's occurring in the cyber world, and it's hitting us as well. Cyber carriers are now requiring both multi-factor authentication, also known as MFA, and actual viable backups for any account of any size from this point forward. Some carriers have been doing this for a while. We're going to be jumping on that train soon. We want to make sure that everybody in all of our partner agencies knows and understands what those requirements are and how to help their clients get them, and thus be able to get insurance going forward. So stay tuned for that stuff. Joe and I are going to be working together on sort of some training modules, because we're not the only carrier that's requiring it. In fact, I think we're the last one that will be requiring it. And it's a big abrupt change for a lot of these small businesses who, let's be realistic, they don't know or understand what multi-factor authentication is. And it's now weirdly your job to work with them and their local IT guy to get it straight. So we want to be able to help. So be prepared for that. It's coming. But when it does, just know that we're here to help you. All right. So that's it. The account's been sent to Joe. Joe, ironically enough, will have a quote in his inbox right now that he will then be able to forward to you, the agent, which he has your contact information because you gave it to us. And you will be able to present that cyber quote. But that's all you have to do to get a cyber quote from the Comtech Leavitt team. And of course, if you run into any issues in this or anything else, Joe's contact information in his office is always on the screen and available to you. The live chat and our contact information is always also available to you. All right, Joe, my work here is done.
Well, thanks, Ellie. I really appreciate your time. Leavitt family, we're going to keep building on this, improving it, and give it a try, and realize that, hey, we have already screened the different accounts. We have a lot of relationships. If you want certain things, we can certainly steer you in the right direction for, like, maybe a vulnerability test or anything like that. But what we've tried to do is, look, most people buy the cyber, they don't understand it. They expect you to understand it. And they just want to know, hey, do I have a policy? And trying to confuse them with a lot of upfront reports, I think, makes it a more difficult process. You can always get those things, but what we've tried to do is cut it out, because you're paying for that in a quote. I've seen, like, Evolve, where I did a test, and the pricing was like 11,000, and I think through Wingman it was like 4,000. So I mean, comparing the two, you're paying for a lot of stuff that really isn't necessary in the buying process, in my experience. So give us a try, and thanks to everybody who attended, and we'll continue to try to open it up for some questions. Maybe. Do we have some time for that, Ellie?
Absolutely. We've got the first question from Reed. He wants to know, how much commission are you going to pay these guys on this business? Good question, Reed.
Yeah, it's 12.5%, which is really darn competitive. The big thing is we want you to have all the tools, all the forms, all the selling tools you'll see are being marketing and media are completely revamping them a little bit so that they look like any of the Leavitt marketing materials that come out, and with the new branding change that they did. So they're working on those. We have all sorts of forms. Somebody had asked me about, what if somebody won't buy it? We've created a form for that as well, that you can, it's branded as Leavitt, and you can put it in front of them, have sign off that you offered it to them and then put away in a file. So we've done all that type of work for you. And we're also, in my experience, sometimes you get some darn big ones. And in that case, I'm available to help, close those if you want some assistance. But please use us. Let's see, do we have any other questions, Ellie?
I don't see any on my end, but I don't know if you got anything from the Q&A area that we might want to address.
Yeah.
Let me take a peek. Okay, so someone asked if the cyber policy includes a tech E&O component. And I just want to say we have a separate policy that includes tech E&O and cyber combined. Underwriting on this tech E&O business has gotten absolutely buttoned up tight. And we're doing everything we can to make sure that that's equal. We also got, how does our policy stack up against other people's? Every policy is different. We're happy to sit down. We've got comparisons for a lot of the policies. We can absolutely build comparisons for any we haven't actually worked with yet, but all of the standard comparisons that we're seeing out there, Joe's already got his hands on, I think, the comparisons. So just reach out to him and he'll help. But I always like to talk about this stuff. I like to see what's changing in the marketplace, especially right now, because underwriting and forms, we're seeing a lot of carriers that are doing these large co-insurance clauses for ransomware, for example. We find that useless. If you could self-insure ransomware, you wouldn't be buying a cyber insurance policy, things like that. So we want to make sure we're up to date with all of these newest changes. But if you have any questions on that, then you can let me know. Rob asked a really amazing question. If a client refuses to put MFA in place, can I provide coverage? No. No, we cannot. I don't know that there's a carrier out there that would willingly give cyber insurance coverage to a business that refuses to do MFA. It takes about 2 seconds to set up for the most part on things like Microsoft 365. It creates no additional issues. And quite frankly, it stops about 45% of cyber attacks. So no, but what we do have is a lot of materials on why it's important and how to set it up and all of this stuff that you can use to help educate your customers. We're going to start a webinar series later this year that's entirely devoted to training on MFA and backups. And we encourage you and any of your clients that you think might need it to have them join us. So stay tuned for all of that.
Yeah, I just want to kind of end up with one little subject that I've been following quite a bit. And you all have probably heard of the Colonial Pipeline hack. But what it is this group, DarkSide, they're not only just themselves, they actually give other hackers the tools to actually use, and they're just looking for money. So you think it's just one group targeting Colonial? No, they've released, I think they have like, I don't know, 47 different partners that are out there doing their own thing. DarkSide's not involved, but they have these partner relationships. So, hey, it's not just about Colonial Pipeline, it's about everything. And that's scary enough because of all the people who have been affected by that. Let's see, I think I have a question here. Nope, it's gone.
Sorry, the question was if we include coverage for actual paper records and HIPAA and things like that. The answer is absolutely. It doesn't matter what form the private information is. If it's your client's responsibility to keep it safe and they have a Wingman/Access Insurance Company policy, it will be covered. That was a good, interesting distinction. That's why I like to talk about that construction firm where it was, actual records, not just data. Data forensics is covered. Accounting forensics is covered. All of those things are covered in the policy, which is fantastic. Really, this is going to be your traditional policy. Every quote that we produce comes with a 1, 2, and 3 million limit option already included. If your agency deals with a lot of small business, we can automatically include a $500,000 quote. We don't tend to like it or sell it very often because for the money, it's not really worth it. But If it gets your customer in the door actually with a cyber policy, it's absolutely better than nothing. So we can do that. We can go up to 10 million in limits, but anything over 3 requires a full application. So we've got lots of options on that front.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you just covered the limits. Yeah. Okay.
And look, we're going to be here to answer all of your questions as they continue. I'm sure Joe will follow up with everybody once we've finished the webinar with the recording and all of the things. So if you have any additional questions, you do know how to reach us. Let me just pop up Joe's contact information one more time. But I appreciate everybody joining us. Joe, thank you so much for having me. You and April are an excellent partner.
Yeah, I just say on those little reminders and everything I sent out about the webinar, you'll see all my contact information. This number goes to my cell phone, but you have my cell phone number, you just call it direct. I'm your partner in this, as well as Ellie and Wingman. So utilize us, and I think you'll feel really good about what you're offering your clients.
Well, thank you. All right, everybody. It's been a pleasure.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.